While Saudi Arabia is spending $1 trillion to become the next Dubai, one country is betting everything that they'll fail, and their strategy is so brilliant it might actually reshape the entire Middle East. I'm talking about a geopolitical chess match worth trillions. One nation building cities that don't exist, the other perfecting cities that already dominate. And the outcome will determine which country becomes the economic superpower of the next century. Let's start with Saudi Arabia's moonshot, Vision 2030. You've probably heard of it. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's grand plan to transform Saudi Arabia from an oil kingdom into a diversified economic powerhouse. The price tag? Over $1 trillion. We're talking about NEOM, a $500 billion futuristic city powered by renewable energy. The Line, a 170-kilometer-long vertical city that will supposedly house 9 million people. Red Sea tourism projects with pristine beaches designed to rival the Maldives. It sounds incredible. And for people like Ahmed, a 34-year-old Saudi petroleum engineer I spoke with, it represents hope. Ahmed left his $200,000 a year job at Saudi Aramco to work on NEOM's sustainable energy division. He told me, "I wanted to be part of history, to build something my grandchildren would be proud of." Ahmed believed. Millions of Saudis believe. But here's the thing nobody talks about. As of 2024, 81% of Saudi government revenue still comes from oil. After nearly a decade of Vision 2030, they're barely diversified. And while Saudi Arabia announces billion-dollar projects with glossy CGI videos and celebrity consultants, one neighboring country saw something Saudi Arabia didn't. Before we continue, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. With that said, let's get back to the video. That country? The United Arab Emirates. Specifically Dubai. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because the UAE's strategy is the complete opposite of Saudi's. While Saudi builds from scratch, UAE perfects what already works. And the numbers? They tell a very different story. The UAE's non-oil GDP is a staggering 71%. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia recently hit a historic milestone where non-oil activities finally reached 50% of their GDP. It's progress, yes, but when your neighbor is already at the finish line, 50% feels like standing still. Let me put this in perspective. Dubai attracted 17.15 million tourists in 2023. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 target is 100 million tourists by 2030. Sounds ambitious, right? Except Saudi currently gets about 27 million visitors, and most of those are religious pilgrims visiting Mecca, not tourists exploring the country. Take Fatima for example. She's a Pakistani entrepreneur who ran a modest event planning business in Jeddah for 6 years. In 2022, she moved to Dubai. Within 18 months, her revenue tripled. In Saudi, every event needed government approval. Every delay cost money. In Dubai, she told me, I pitch on Monday, sign contracts Wednesday, execute the event Friday. Speed is money. And this speed advantage isn't accidental. McKinsey published a report in 2023 on Middle East economic diversification, and their conclusion was brutal. First mover advantage in regional business hubs is nearly insurmountable without generational change. Translation? Saudi is playing catch-up in a race UAE won a decade ago. But the UAE's real weapon isn't tourism. It's something far more strategic. Infrastructure advantage. I know, that sounds boring compared to 500-meter-tall mirrored skyscrapers. But here's what matters. UAE spent the last 30 years building world-class logistics infrastructure. Dubai's Jebel Ali port, the largest in the Middle East, handles 15.7 million containers annually. Saudi Arabia's nearest competitor? King Abdullah Port in Jeddah. It handles 1.8 million containers. That's not a competition. That's domination. And here's the thing about infrastructure. You can't fake it. You can't fast-track it with unlimited money. It requires decades of operational expertise, relationships with global shipping companies, and trust. I spoke with Marcus Chin, a Hong Kong shipping magnate who routes cargo throughout Asia and the Middle East. He told me something fascinating. Saudi offered us lower port fees, better tax incentives, even free land for a regional headquarters, he said. But we route 90% of our Middle East cargo through Dubai anyway. What? Because when a shipment is worth $50 million and there's a customs issue at 2 a.m., I know I can call someone in Dubai who will solve it in 30 minutes. In Saudi? That same problem takes 3 days and 5 different government departments. This is the invisible advantage. The World Bank's Logistics Performance Index ranks UAE 11th globally. Saudi Arabia? 38th. Now, if you're a business owner trying to decide where to set up your Middle East headquarters, this next fact will shock you. UAE has made it easier to start a business than Switzerland. In 2024, it takes an average of 4.5 days to register a company in Dubai with full legal standing. In Riyadh, 19.5 days. And that's after Saudi's recent reforms. But even infrastructure advantages pale compared to what UAE has built that money literally cannot buy. Another one is the trust factor. Institutional trust. Let me explain with a story. Sarah Williams is a British hedge fund manager. In 2021, she moved her $400 million fund from London to Dubai. Not for the 0% income tax, though that helped. Not for the weather, though that's nice too. She moved for what she called a predictable business environment. In the UK, regulations change with every election cycle, she told me. In Dubai, the rules are clear, consistent, and enforced uniformly. I can plan 10 years ahead with confidence. This is the thing. UAE has $1.5 trillion in assets under management. Saudi Arabia is pushing to reach $3 trillion by 2030. But here's the question. Why would global investors trust Saudi's institutions when they've had decades to trust UAE's? Consider this. 85% of UAE's population is made up of expats, people who chose to live there. In Saudi Arabia, only 38% are foreign residents, and most are low-wage migrant workers. Why would wealthy, educated foreigners choose a desert over London, New York, Singapore? Because between 2019 and 2023, UAE implemented legal reforms that changed everything. 100% foreign ownership of companies. 10-year renewable residency visas. International arbitration courts that follow British legal principles. Property ownership rights for foreigners. Saudi Arabia announced similar reforms in 2023 and 2024. They're 4 years behind. In global finance, being second means being invisible. But wait, Saudi Arabia does have one card UAE can never match. And it's worth $600 billion a year. The oil paradox. Specifically, the wealth it generates. Here's the paradox. Saudi's biggest weakness is actually their secret weapon. Saudi Arabia has $700 billion in foreign reserves. UAE? $183 billion. What does this mean practically? It means Saudi Arabia can lose money on Vision 2030 projects for 15 plus years without breaking a sweat. UAE had to make Dubai profitable from day one. They had no choice. Remember that Leonardo da Vinci painting that sold for $450 million? Saudi's crown prince bought it. The same week he announced government austerity measures. That's the advantage of infinite money. The IMF published a 2024 report on Gulf sovereign wealth, and their projection was stunning. Even if oil prices drop to $40 per barrel, Saudi Arabia can sustain current government spending for 47 years before depleting reserves. UAE? 12 years under the same scenario. So here's the question. If you had infinite money versus limited resources, which strategy would win? The boring, proven, profitable model? Or the spectacular, ambitious, unproven experiment? The answer isn't what you think. Because what UAE's founders understood, and what Saudi is learning the hard way, is one critical economic principle. Sustainability versus spectacle. Profitability beats publicity. Let me show you the difference. Dubai Mall. Opened in 2008. Cost $20 billion to build the entire downtown Dubai district. It generates $7 billion annually just in retail sales. Not counting tourism, restaurants, hotels, or the Burj Khalifa observation deck. Now compare that to Qiddiya, Saudi's entertainment city project near Riyadh. Announced in 2018. Opening pushed to 2028. Zero revenue generated. $8 billion already spent. I spoke with Robert Kim, a South Korean construction CEO whose firm worked on both the Burj Khalifa and Neom projects. His assessment was blunt. Burj Khalifa was completed on time, on budget. We knew exactly what we were building and why, he said. Neom? 3 years delayed. Budget overrun by 40%. And every 6 months, they changed the design specifications. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Only 13% of Neom's promised Phase 1 is completed as of late 2024. The line, that 170 kilometers vertical city? They've built about 2.4 kilometers. Meanwhile, Dubai has created 3.7 million jobs in diversified sectors since 2000. Saudi Arabia? 1.2 million diversified jobs, despite having 3 times the population of UAE. Harvard Business School literally published a case study called Dubai Incorporated, the world's most successful city-state business model. There's no equivalent case study about Saudi Vision 2030. Not yet. Because proven beats promised. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. There's one problem Saudi Arabia cannot solve with money alone. The cultural barrier. Culture. Specifically, social restrictions. Let me be direct. UAE's alcohol market is worth $1.2 billion annually. Entertainment and nightlife? Another $3.4 billion. What do tourists actually spend money on when they travel? Experiences, restaurants, bars, nightlife, shows, entertainment that makes them feel alive. Dubai offers all of that, and they do it incredibly well. I spoke with James and Lisa Morrison, an Australian couple in their 40s who visited both countries in 2024. They spent 7 nights in Dubai and spent approximately $8,400 on hotels, dining, entertainment, and shopping. They spent 2 nights in Riyadh and spent $1,200. Riyadh was impressive architecturally, Lisa told me. But after 6 p.m., there was nothing to do except sit in our hotel. No bars, limited dining, everything felt controlled. Now Saudi has made reforms. They've allowed concerts, mixed-gender events, movie theaters. But according to 2024 World Tourism Organization surveys, international travelers describe Saudi's social environment as too controlled, too limited. Think of it as the Vegas versus Salt Lake City paradox. Both are growing, both have stunning landscapes, but one is built for global play and the other is built on strict principles. The question is, can you attract the Vegas crowd with Salt Lake rules? Both are nice cities, but tourists choose Vegas. This is Saudi's invisible ceiling. You can build the world's coolest buildings, but if social culture doesn't match global expectations, high-spending tourists stay away. Unless Saudi plays their one final card. The religious card. Mecca and Medina. 1.9 billion Muslims worldwide. Over 2 million pilgrims perform Hajj annually. Religious tourism brings $12 billion a year to Saudi Arabia. And here's the thing, UAE has zero equivalent. This is income they can never replicate. It's Saudi's trump card. But here's the catch, religious tourism has a ceiling. Most pilgrims visit for 3 to 5 days, perform their rituals and leave. Saudi's strategy? Turn religious visitors into general tourists. Extend the average stay from 3 days to 10+ days by offering theme parks, resorts, historical tours. I spoke with Yusuf Hassan, an Egyptian pilgrim who visited Mecca in 2023. After completing Hajj, he was offered discounted tickets to a nearby theme park and luxury beach resort. His response? It felt wrong. Mixing the spiritual with commercialization. That's the tightrope Saudi walks. Can you monetize religious obligation without offending the faithful? Pew Research Center published data on Muslim travel trends, and their conclusion was cautious. Religious travelers are highly sensitive to perceived commodification of sacred experiences. So Saudi's billion-dollar question remains, can they thread this needle? So who wins? Here's the truth, this isn't a competition. It's a case study in 2 economic philosophies. UAE's advantages. Proven business model. Institutional trust built over 30 years. Sustainable diversification. First mover advantage in logistics, finance, and tourism. Saudi's advantages. Unlimited capital from oil reserves. Religious tourism monopoly. Potential for rapid catch-up if execution improves. Sheer scale. Saudi has 10x the land and 3x the population. By 2030, UAE projects $800 billion in non-oil GDP. Saudi Arabia projects $1.6 trillion in non-oil GDP. But projections aren't results. Remember Ahmed, the Saudi engineer building Neom? And Fatima, the entrepreneur who tripled her income in Dubai? I checked in with both recently. Ahmed remains optimistic but admits, projects are slower than promised. But we're building something no one has attempted before. Fatima is expanding her Dubai business into Saudi Arabia. I'll serve both markets, she said. Hedge my bets. Smart. Because the real question isn't who will win. It's whether Saudi's government-driven model can beat UAE's market-driven model. Can top-down ambition overcome bottom-up entrepreneurship? The Economist Intelligence Unit's 2025 forecast says, both will succeed, but UAE will remain more globally integrated while Saudi becomes regionally dominant. That might be the most likely outcome. 2 winners, different strategies, different strengths. But here's what I want to know from you. If you had to invest your life savings in the future of one country, would you bet on the proven winner who's already succeeded, or the ambitious underdog with unlimited resources but an unproven track record? Because honestly, that's the gamble investors, businesses, and families are making right now. Are we watching Saudi Arabia's greatest transformation, or the most expensive mistake in modern economic history? Drop your prediction in the comments. 2035, Dubai or Riyadh? And explain why. Because in 10 years, one of these cities will be the most powerful economic force in the Middle East, and the other will be a very expensive lesson in what happens when you confuse spending with strategy. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comment below. I'm bringing you fresh content, hidden secrets, economies, and hidden trends every day that you won't want to miss. Turn on notification to be the first to know when the next video drops.